How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. We are now in Ayase's route, for better or for worse. I'm not really looking forward to this one, and I've stated that a few times, but, you know, we'll push through, or at least I will. You guys will just have to put up with my bickering, which I will try to keep to a minimum. But nothing has really changed so far, or at least as much as I can see here. Well, except for one thing. Rimi is not present. She is absolutely not here, and I don't know the reason for that. I don't think anything has been explicitly said to us on why she is not present right now in the overall story. Because she's supposed to be, but I don't know. She is not, and it's something I kind of overlooked in the last episode when I was skipping through a bit of conversation between Takumi and Misumi. And, speaking of those two, they are here at the hospital to visit Ayase, which is something that they did in the normal story, but with Rimi involved. I'd shown up at school on Thursday for one reason and one reason only, to meet up with Misumi-kun so we could go see Ayase in the hospital. Granted, he had more or less forced me to tag along, but I still figured that maybe Ayase could help me out. With Rimi seemingly out of the picture, I needed someone to help. I needed someone else to protect me, and Ayase was one of the candidates I had in mind. So maybe, just maybe, if she had already recovered somewhat, she might have been able to do something to that effect. And on top of that, with her help, my chances of obtaining a real D-sword would skyrocket. I really couldn't do it on my own. Then again, it was Ayase herself who'd said obtaining a D-sword isn't something one can teach. But still, this was Ayase that we were talking about here. Surely she could help somehow. Coming in through the front entrance, Misumi-kun looked around the lobby in confusion. What's wrong? I called out to him.
いや、岸本の病室ってどこなんだろうなって思ってよ。
Had he seriously come this far without knowing that? This guy was beyond belief sometimes.
ここは外来棟だよ。病棟は隣。
そうなのか?
AH Tokyo General Hospital. It was the hospital that I'd gone to ever since I was a kid. I'd even come here just the other day, so I was pretty knowledgeable on where everything was. Dr. Takashina's face flashed across my mind, and I involuntarily groaned to myself. As we walked to the hospital ward, Misumi-kun turned to me.
で、病棟の何号室だと思う?
そんなのわかんないよ。
This was a general hospital, so there were obviously a ton of different wards and departments. If I had to guess...
多分外科じゃないかな。でももしかすると精神科かも。
There hadn't been any visible injuries on Ayase after she'd fallen, and considering that she attempted suicide, her mind had likely been brought to the brink, so her being in the psychiatric ward seemed very possible. Even I had been taken to the psych ward after the uproar at O-Front.
タクって物知りだな。
Yeah, don't ask why. I'm also not sure what that little flicker was, but thinking that wandering around the ward would cause problems for the patients, we decided to ask for help at the nurse's station. And just like I'd predicted, they told us that she was on the floor for psychiatric patients.
なあ、この前話したよな。女を落とすのに一番簡単な方法。
Money? Misumi-kun grinned from ear to ear as the two of us walked down the hall. Was that seriously your only reason for visiting her in the hospital? At least have the common sense to not talk about it out loud. Regardless, I think he'd said the fastest way was act like you care in her moment of weakness or something like that.
俺は今日こそあの難攻不落の岸本を落としてみせるぜ。
You know, going back over the game a few times, it's very surprising that Misumi is trying this hard. Because, like, when they met, he was shot down like crazy hard. And at that time, he was very uninterested, and we're about to see that again here. Misumi-kun shone a pearly white smile and gave me a thumbs up. It's possible that the screen, by the way, just a minute ago did not flicker. It may have just been the light in my room. I don't know. If there's a flicker, there's a flicker. It didn't matter how confidently he said them, the words coming out of his mouth were totally disgusting. But I guess he could get away with it because of his good looks. Must have been nice being an alpha male.
でだ。お前って岸本と仲いいだろ？
別に。
しらばっくれるなよ。というわけでフォロー頼むぜ。岸本にいかに三角大輔って人間が素晴らしいかを語ってくれ。
無理だよ。
無理とか言うなって。マジ頼むからさ。
Have a little restraint, will you? You're at a hospital, not a mixer. With him acting like this, was it even a good idea to have him see Ayase at all? It wasn't like she really cared much about him anyway. The pit of my stomach was getting deeper and deeper by the second.
お、タク。病室はここじゃねえか？
Misumi-kun stopped in front of a door and pointed at the nameplate. It definitely did say Kishimoto Ayase. The door was closed though, so we couldn't actually see who was inside.
いいか？うまく俺に話を合わせろよ。
Yeah, better to just agree to it than, argue any further. For the time being, I nodded in agreement. Although even if I did get the chance to say something to Ayase, I doubted I'd be able to say much, regardless of whether Misumi-kun was there or not.
おーす、岸本さん。
Misumi-kun opened the door, greeting Ayase with a cheerful tone.
お見舞いに来た。
what's going on? But that tone didn't last very long. His face immediately froze. Wondering what made him stop, I decided to peek over his shoulder. Well, any guesses? Because this is obviously, different. Whoa. Look at all that shit over there. What the fuck? The room was around 10 square meters in size. Past the entrance, there was a bathroom to the right and a bed in the back. And on the bed... Oh. Yikes. She got a little water or something on her. Sat Ayase stained with blood from head to toe. I know it's blood. Her hollow eyes pierced straight through us. And that's it for Misumi. Misumi-kun let out a pathetic scream and then shoved me aside and flew out the room. I wanted to run as well, but... my legs were frozen in place. I quivered in fear. I've got a lot of questions here. What happened to her? Like, who did she kill? I'm assuming she killed somebody. What the hell is with all that other shit over there? Oh, some of that kind of looks familiar. Why does some of that look familiar? Like, there's obviously her D-sword. I think that's hers over there on the far right. But then the other two, Nanami's and Rimi's? And yet at the same time, I was struck by the bewitching beauty of the blood-drenched girl, as well as the things leaning against the wall behind her. I couldn't move an inch from where I stood. Yeah, let's talk about these three things. The objects resting there, as if it were the most normal thing in the world, were D-swords. 3 of them to be precise, including the one that I'd seen her wielding before. Okay, so that is hers. Each one had a different shape. One had a form so strangely sophisticated it could barely pass for a sword. Another was shaped like a cross, its form evoking a sense of heart-rending pity. And the last one, which Ayase had used before, appeared mystical yet aerodynamic. Why did Ayase have 3 D-swords? Wait, why had I assumed that a person can only have one? Maybe Senna and Kozupi had multiple swords too.
Takumi.
She called my name and I gulped. She began to approach me, her body surrounded by an air of elegance. I was frozen in place.
来てくれたのね。
Yeah, but I think that's like not the thing we should be talking about here.
どうしてそんなに血が。
Her pajamas were dyed crimson by an abundance of blood. Blood that hadn't even dried yet. The rusty smell of fresh blood seeped into my nose.
黒騎士の血よ。これは。
Okay.
黒騎士って 綾瀬本人の。
いいえ、
ちょっと誰？綾瀬はその人を殺したの？
Ayase smiled a wide smile and then she giggled.
怯えているのね、匠。
Yeah, who wouldn't? Who would not be frightened at this lovely imagery here? She stroked my cheek with her blood-soaked fingers.
でも、君を怯えさせているのは、君自身の心の内にあるものよ。不浄なる邪心に打ち勝って、純粋な邪心のみを心に留めるのよ。そうすれば、ディソードは手に入る。手に入れてもらわなくちゃいけない。君は黒騎士なのよ。君には力があるわ。
ディソードを手に入れたら僕も殺すの？黒騎士を殺してきたんだろう？
惑わされないで。それが不浄なる邪心よ。
Ayase peered at my face, her hand, her hand still on my cheek. Her eyes look hollow, and yet I could sense a profound radiance buried deep within them. I couldn't take my eyes off of her.
黒騎士は本来なら邪心を制御できるわ。けれど邪心王は巧妙だった。グラジオール記黙示録詩編第6巻2章50節。グラジオールは邪心を少しずつ侵食することで静かに支配を完了し、邪心の暴走を引き起こすのよ。負けてはいけないわ、邪心王の精神侵略に。
I had never made eye contact with a 3D girl for this long before. I was completely captivated by the traces of sorrow, desolation, and vigor in her eyes. I hadn't listened to a single word she'd even said.
守って。
When I snapped out of the trance, I found myself muttering that.
僕を守ってくれ。
いいわ。
Ayase nodded without a second thought, and then she brought her face closer to mine. The stench of blood grew stronger, becoming more and more overwhelming.
これは予定されていたこと。
She whispered softly in my ear. My heart was racing.
君を守るわ。君も私を守って。
With her body smeared in blood, she was so corrupt, so impure, and yet so bewitching at the same time. It was hard to believe that a girl like her was a student at my school, and in the same year as me, no less.
他の黒騎士はもう当てにはできない。最初は予言通りに黒騎士を集めようと思ったけれど、私の力では無理だった。でも匠がいてくれるなら。
Just like she had said just like she had at the concert, Ayase showed me a face that was unbearably seductive, a face that she rarely ever showed.
いずれ完全に開くわ、呼吸とその門は。その時邪神王はこの世に降臨する。だから急いで集めるのよ。7本のディソードを私と君2人で。
This is some real Kingdom Hearts shit. There were 3 D swords leaning against the wall. In other words, there were 4 left.
うち1本は匠、君が見つけるべきディソードよ。
僕は手に入れられなかった。
Back at O-Front, I'd come so close, but in the end, I'd thrown it all away. I'd given up completely on getting a D-sword.
落ち込むことはないわ。機会はいくらでもやってくる。すでに匠は見えているんだから。それこそが君が黒騎士である証拠よ。
Damn, there's even a delusion choice earlier on that Rimi actually interrupts, where Takumi was so close to grabbing onto it.
いつか手に入るのかな。
不浄なる邪心に打ち勝てば必ず。
What was wicked heart supposed to mean? Was she saying my heart was wicked and impure because of my perverted delusions or something? Oh god, it would not be so easy to conquer that. Probably even impossible. What the fuck? Ayase let go of me and returned to her bed, and right when she did, she suddenly began undoing the buttons on her pajamas.
着替えるわ。
Flustered, I instantly looked away. I figured I should probably leave the room, but right as I went to...
そこにいて。
After hearing that, I couldn't move an inch. The only thing I heard after that was the sound of Ayase taking her clothes off, echoing throughout the quiet room. The hospital room wasn't very big. It was slightly larger than my base, but still pretty small. And so, there I was, alone in a tiny room with Ayase, and she was right behind me changing clothes. I could tell it was happening right behind my back. Shit, I was so nervous, but why? It made no sense. It wasn't like I was used to this kind of stuff. There was a scene just like this in that one eroge a slime girl appears with CGs by Higashi Marasema. Why are we getting to the specifics here?
なぜ目をそらすの、匠。
だって、見ちゃまずいし。
My voice almost cracked as I spoke.
恥ずかしいのね。
綾瀬は恥ずかしくないの。
Was she trying to tell me that it was okay to look? I mean, I wasn't into 3D girls, not even remotely. That being said, if she was giving me permission to look, I wasn't gonna say no.
惑わされているのよ、君は。その感情こそが邪神に侵食されている証拠。
惑わされているって、誰に？
邪神王、グラジオール。
I casually picked up the book on the bedside table in front of me. On the cover was the Gladioul Saga, Volume 17, the Book of Psalms and Revelation.
グラジオールって、なんなの？
邪悪なる存在。負の妄想の塊。人の心の闇に偏在する無意識の集合体。世界に破滅をもたらす神。言い方はいろいろ。
そいつは車椅子に乗ってるの？足が不自由とか？
グラジオールは人の形をしているとは限らないわ。もういいわよ、こっちを見ても。
Oh, you are ready to go. I slowly turned around to face Ayase. She was already done changing clothes, and for some reason she was now wearing her school uniform.
なんで制服に？
迫っているから、グラジオール覚醒の時が。いつでも動けるようにしておかないと。
Then wouldn't normal clothes be better? Well, whatever. What's done is done.
グラジオールがギガロマニアックスとどう関係してくるの？
ギガロ？何？
She uses a different dictionary here. Ayase raised her eyebrows in confusion. Seemed like she didn't know. Maybe Gigalomaniac was just the term that Senna used for them.
ギガロマニアックスだよ。セナはディソードを持つ力の持ち主のことをそう呼んでた。ディソードはディラックの海に繋がったパイプだとかなんとか。
呼び方は人それぞれかもしれないわ。
I think you're the only one with different names for everything here.
ディソードは人の邪神を具現化したものよ。グラジオール記目視録詩編にそう書いてある。第3巻11章23節。予言書なのよ、それは。
As she said that, her gaze was fixated on the book in my hands.
みんなはこう言うわ。私が歌詞によって予知を行っていると。だけど私はグラジオール記目視録詩編からインスピレーションを受けているだけ。その詩編こそ予言の書なのよ。なぜ気づかないの？誰も。
予言の書って冗談でしょ？
事実よ。この渋谷で今まさに起きていることを、そして これから起きようとしていることをスイグラーは予言し物語にしている。
シーグラー。
You know what I think this is? I think everything that's written was in some form of code. Like a lot of it is complete bullshit, but a lot of it is also like aligning with real events. So there's those that came before these characters that foresaw a lot of the events happening here, and they wanted to get a message out to, I guess, the one person that would actually pick up a book and, you know, read all this bullshit. And that turned out to be Ayase, which prepared her for what's about to come.
グラジオール
That's
記
my
録四
prediction.
六紙編の作
Absolutely
者。
baseless.
個人だけれど、スイグラーは強大な黒騎士だったと思うわ。私は。
I was really starting to think that Black Knights was just her term for gigalomaniacs. Yeah? Yeah. And if the author of this book was a gigalomaniac, then no wonder he could predict the future. I skimmed through the book as I was holding, the Gladioul Saga, Volume 17, the Book of Psalms and Revelation, and what I saw shocked me. Huh? It was blank. No matter how many pages I turned, no matter where I looked inside the book, there wasn't a single word. What the hell? I turned back to check the front cover. It wasn't a normal book cover, it was almost entirely blank. All that was written was the title and the author, not even the name of the publisher. Once again, I tried flipping through the book from the beginning. But even the first page was blank, and no matter how many pages I went through, I couldn't find a single one with any writing. But that's weird.
これ不良品。
That's weird because didn't they show up, Misumi and Takumi, didn't they show up to this room in the common route, and that's when Ayase was out talking with Rimi? Didn't he like see the book, Misumi, pick it up and see that something was like bookmarked, and like he memorized a line in order to like talk to Ayase about it or some shit? Something along those lines. So there was something in the book.
どういうこと？
だってこれ全部白紙じゃないか。
何を言っているの？ちゃんと書かれているわ。何度も読んでいるのよ、私は。
そんなこと言ったって。ほら。
I shoved the open book right in Ayase's face.
どこからどう見ても真っ白だよ。
ちっとも白紙なんかじゃないわ。
いや、白紙だって。
ここに字が書いてある。見えないの？匠。
Was she screwing with me? Or was she actually being serious? Maybe Ayase had been a complete mental case all along, and I'd only just realized it now?
君には見えないのね。侵食されているからだわ。邪神王に。
Ayase was dead serious. She really didn't seem to be joking. In fact, I was pretty sure that I'd never seen her crack a joke even once before. I took another look at the book, but I really didn't see a thing.
僕には白紙にしか見えないよ。
そう。
Ayase's shoulders drooped in disappointment, and she then took the book from my hands. Excuse me. Her hands were cold to the touch.
考えたことがある？
何が？
世界は人によって見える形が違うということ。その差異を確かめることはできないわ。概念や認識を他人と完璧に一致させることは不可能だから。でもこれだけははっきりしている。君が見ているものと私が見ているもの。その違いは邪神による影響よ。邪神の集合体が邪神王グラジオール。目覚めようとしている。もうすぐ。もしも目覚めたら、きっと。この世に67億ある世界は、邪神王が生む混沌によって混じり、溶け合うことになるわ。境界が消え、邪神により連結された世界になるのよ。 あらゆるものが規則性もなく生まれ、あらゆるものが一瞬で死ぬ。概念も認識も因果律もすべて破壊される。すべてあるがゆえに何もない世界。あらゆる神話と同じように予言されているわ。終末予言。滅びの歌。
Was that really true? Was that what was written in that blank book? In the Gladioul book of Psalms and Revelation?
このままでは滅びの結末に至るだけ。今、止められるのは私と君。二人しかいないの。
どうして僕ら二人なの？
導きよ。他の黒騎士はすでに邪神王に侵食されてしまった。
Wait, Ayase had said earlier that the blood on her was from the other Black Knights. Had she killed them somewhere in the hospital? If she had, then where were all the bodies? Then right as I thought that, Ayase walked past me and placed her hand at the door.
どこ行くの？
おしっこよ。
Are we about to see some corpses in the bathroom? With a deadpan expression, she answered me, and then headed off without waiting for my reply.
Huh?
I looked around the room, trying to find more volumes of the Gladioul Saga, but no dice. I didn't know how many volumes there were in total, but the one I picked up before was the 17th. Volumes 1 through 16 were nowhere to be found. Of course, it was possible that she just hadn't brought them to the hospital. I still couldn't believe that the book was totally blank, despite seeing it with my own two eyes. Yeah, something's just not right. And so I left the room before Ayase came back. What are we gonna do? What are we looking for? So the hospital had this corner set up on the far end of the lobby. Countless PCs were lined up there and they all had internet access. Something I'd learned from the countless times that I'd been here. Now that visiting hours had ended, all signs of life in the lobby had vanished. Even though it was so busy during the day, the lobby was now covered in an eerie silence, making it impossible for me to calm down. I would definitely get kicked out if a nurse saw me, so I made a dash for the PCs. I wasn't an idiot. I knew a thing or two about Western mythos and stuff, and I learned it from all the anime, manga, and games that I'd gone through. But even with all that, I'd never ever heard of the Gladioul Saga before. The first time I'd even seen the name was when I'd looked into Ayase online. So without further ado, time to look it up. You know what? I feel like I should bring this up. I don't try to make comparisons or really bring up anything from Chaos Child, but there was a route, a character route, that was like a shits and giggles route. Or there was like a better term for it, but it was just complete insanity. Like, it just went in the most, like, nutty direction. And I have a feeling that this could be the route in this one, in this title, that accomplishes the same. Because I was told that there is a route in Chaos Head that pretty much is the same. Like, it's just ridiculously nutty and stupid. I wonder if we're in that route. I got quite a few results, way more than I expected actually, which worried me. Maybe I really was the only one who didn't know about it. But as I looked closely at the results, I noticed one common denominator. All of them had something to do with Phantasm or Fess. Whenever the Gladioul Saga was mentioned, it had to do with something Fess mentioned or Phantasm's world building and other stuff like that. It was all a bunch of hearsay. But no matter how much I searched, I couldn't find any discussion on the actual contents of the book. No Amazon links or anything? Well, I guess we got Wikipedia. Or wiki pedophilia. There was a wiki entry for it, but it barely even touched upon the premise. It says here, a series of high fantasy novels based on the Eastern European myth of Gladioul the Wicked-Hearted King. Told over the course of 23 volumes, it depicts the battle between the 7 Black Knights and Gladioul. It was written by R.C.O. Ziegler from 1929 to 1951. The series has been translated into several languages, but it never gained widespread appeal due to its rather esoteric writing style. The series is no longer in print in Japan, rendering it very difficult to find. All right. And I just read all of that. That was all that was written there. Compared to the pages on other legends, each of which were filled to the brim with information, this one felt a little lacking. Even the wiki page on D-Swords went into more detail than this. And since this was Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia that anyone could edit, there was really no way to verify its accuracy. The picture on the D-Sword page had been entirely off the mark, for example. In the end, there was one thought that kept coming to the forefront of my mind. What if the Gladioul saga was simply a product of Ayase's delusions? Maybe Ayase was trying to create some sort of Lovecraftian mythos or something. Hell, Lovecraft himself, if I remember correctly, had used his books to share his crazed delusions with others. If that was what Ayase was doing with her songs, then all of this, even though it might have sounded kind of cool, was just a whole load of crazy schizo bullshit. And to make things worse, Ayase didn't seem to realize that. She was confusing it with reality. Was everything Ayase told me nothing but her insane delusions? I don't think that's a proper sentence. Maybe the whole apocalypse thing was simply some delusion that she wanted to see. Typical Chinubio stuff. Tortured kids who just wanted to see the world burn.
ああ、それは僕もだった。
So if that was true, then what exactly did Ayase actually want to happen? What kind of ending did she wish to reach? How did she want this legend to end? And was she someone I could trust?
信じるも何も。綾瀬しかいないじゃないか。
Rimi was gone, Senna was kind of scary, and Kozupi was unreliable. So it didn't matter how crazy she was, she could spout delusions all day for all I cared. Ayase was the only one I could rely on. Thing is, we could just get high and we could completely deal with Ayase's bullshit. Plus, she had a D-Sword. There was no denying that. And her songs really had prophesied the NewGen cases, whether they were based on delusions or not. Or NewGen had been happening because her delusions were becoming reality. If anything, though, that just meant that she was even more powerful than I thought. No harm in using that power to my advantage. I needed her, and luckily, for God knows what reason, she seemed to be interested in me. So as long as I took her words with a grain of salt, I would probably be fine. Yep, it was all gonna be just fine. I don't think it's gonna be just fine, guys. I'm gonna be real with you all. I don't think it's gonna be fine. When I came back to the hospital room... Ooh, she's singing.
闇夜を切り裂き月光を浴びて幾千もの鉄鎚は汝の痛みとなりて今解き放たれるやがて叫びは宙に舞い夜空は赤く染まるだろう
Ayase was sitting on her bed, eating some hospital food. Wait, she wasn't actually eating it. She was just listlessly poking her frozen tofu with her chopsticks, all while quietly singing a song. It was one of the prophetic phantasm songs, the one that had foretold the third NewGen case, the crucifixion. It was called A Contract of Blood to Seal Our Sin. Aha. I was familiar with it myself, as I had bought the album. But in this case, Ayase wasn't striking a steak, rather she was striking her chopsticks into her tofu. Or I suppose it was closer to stabbing. As soon as she saw me, she gave a faint smile, as if relieved about something.
戻ってこないかと思ったわ。どこへ行っていたの？
ちょっと調べ物をロビーの PC で。
今日はここに泊まって一緒にいて。
Well, alright. What? Really? I flinched instinctively at Ayase's bold request. Had I tripped a flag without noticing?
お腹空いていない？食べてもいいわよ。
She picked up some frozen tofu with her chopsticks and offered it to me.
それって綾瀬が食べたくないだけじゃ。
そうよ。
She pursed her lips into a smile.
まずいの、病院食は。不浄な邪心に染まっているのね、きっと。
God damn it, wicked hearts this, wicked hearts that. Was that all she knew how to say? If the two of us were talking online, she'd have been banned for spamming by now.
邪心に染まってるのに僕は食べてもいいの？
普段から邪心まみれでしょ、匠は。コンビニのお弁当やカップ麺は不浄なる食べ物の最たる例よ。
Well, yeah, maybe.
黒騎士として覚醒するためには摂取をやめるべきだわ。
綾瀬は普段は何を食べてるの？
チョコレート。
What the fuck?
チョコレートって十分邪心に染まってそうな気がするけど。
Was that actually all she ate? Chocolate? Talk about an unbalanced diet. Hers was even worse than mine. What the fuck?
チョコレートはいいわ。邪心を打ち払う力を持つのよ、あの甘さは。
It's also really good at creating cavities. Bullshit, you may talk fancy, but really you just have a sweet tooth.
というわけで、匠。さあ。
Ayase brought the frozen tofu closer to my face. Yeah, I'll pass. I'm not really a fan of frozen tofu either.
いらない。
それは許されないわ。
What the fuck was going on? This wasn't fair. It was every man's dream to hear a girl say, okay, say, so why did it do nothing for me? Maybe it was because the food was Ayase's unwanted leftovers. Or maybe it was because she was a 3D girl. Well, she definitely wasn't going to give up trying to feed me, so I reluctantly opened my mouth. As I chewed the tofu, the broth spread throughout my mouth.
よく頑張ったわ。これで一歩、黒騎士に近づいたわよ、匠。
I sure didn't feel any closer.
次は、このきんぴらごぼうを。
Please, Ayase, no more. Hey, I like vegetables, but definitely not from a hospital. Definitely not. When she'd finished feeding me, Ayase had once again started going on about the Gladioul Saga, but this time she really got into it. Even once the sun had started setting, she seemed oblivious to the fact that the room was getting darker. Not once had she thought to turn on the lights. For the most part, though, she'd pretty much just gone in depth on the things that she'd already mentioned prior to that. Nothing really new. And she wasn't exactly the most engaging storyteller, so now I was starting to get sleepy. Though considering that Shogun was still out there, it probably wasn't smart to be dozing off.
というわけなのよ。理解できた？
Yeah, sure.
うん。
I hadn't listened to a word that she had said, but I decided to just nod for now. But when I did, Ayase squinted at me and then moved in close.
聞いてなかったのね。
She usually didn't show much in the way of emotion, but I guess even she could get mad under the right circumstances. Maybe I should apologize for upsetting her.
それも邪心に染まっているせいよ。
Oh my god, again with the wicked hearts.
先に取り除かなくてはならないようね。君の侵食した邪心を。でなければ、純粋なる邪心は培養されない。
取り除く?
I think the actual term is exercise. Not exercise as like doing the jumping jacks or anything like that, but like exercise, not excise. I'm pretty sure. But then again, I don't write this stuff. And I also don't translate it. What was she trying to do to me? By the sound of it, some kind of terrifying heart surgery. It gave me the chills just thinking about it. But it seemed like my guess was off. With a slightly sorrowful expression, Ayase licked her lips. I'd caught a quick glimpse of her pink tongue, and I must admit, that moment was extremely sexy.
君の邪心を取り除くためなら何でもするわ。望みがあったら言って。
Anything? Well, I still don't know what she meant by excise your purity, or impurity. Well then, how about for starters?
キスでもしてもらおうか。
Despite the darkness, I could see the rigidness of her expression. Uh-oh, maybe I'd gone a little too far. I really didn't want her to start hating me, and I definitely didn't want her to abandon me, so I rushed to apologize. Or at least I tried to, but she didn't give me the opportunity. Instead, she grabbed me by the collar and shoved me right into a nearby closet.
何を
She pressed her body up against mine, and then she closed the door behind us, leaving us tightly packed inside the closet. What the fuck is happening? The closet was incredibly cramped. It wasn't designed for people. In order for two people to fit, they had to be pressed right up against each other. It didn't help that I could feel Ayase's stifled breaths on my ear either. Maybe it was how dark it was, but the situation was really turning me on. Typical Takumi.
看護師の見回りよ。
Oh, so that's why we were hiding. Visiting was prohibited at night, so obviously sleeping over was too. If they found out I was here, they would kick me out immediately. Okay, but why was Ayase hiding with me?
この病院にも敵は多いわ。
That is true. That is true.
敵
グラジオールの使い。私たちの心を支配しようと、虎視眈々と狙っているのよ。
Even the nurses were our enemies?
それってただの被害妄想。
静かに。
I had no clue what brought it on, but Ayase suddenly sealed my lips with hers. Oh shit. Jesus Christ, her lips were so soft. It was enough of a shock to make my mind go completely blank. That was when I heard the door open, and at the same time, some strange mechanical sound. Whoever they were trying to be stealthy, but I still had heard them come through the door. Oh shit.
いないわ。
Oh my god, that's scary. I hate this sort of shit. I heard a female voice. I felt like I'd heard it before, but I couldn't exactly remember when.
逃げられたのかしら。まさか私たちの正体に気づかれた？ええ、不用意に接触しすぎたのかもしれない。
She was talking to someone, but I couldn't hear the other person's voice. She must have been on the phone. Ayase's lips were still glued to mine. Her sweet aroma lingered in the air. It smelled absolutely incredible. They were so soft, and not just her lips, but her breasts, her shoulders, her hips, her thighs, every part of her body that pressed up against mine was soft as could be. There was probably someone really dangerous standing right outside the closet, but that thought didn't even register in my mind. I was completely lost in pleasure.
そっちの処理は済んだ？そう、これからなのね。わかったわ。私はスクランブル交差点に向かうから。それじゃあね。守る。あなたに信仰の救いあれ。
Mm-hmm. That was Suwa. It seemed like they'd finished their conversation, and with that, the suspicious woman silently left the room. I could tell that the coast was clear. It would probably be safe to come out of the closet now. But Ayase still hadn't let go of me. And then, for only a moment, she pulled her lips away from mine. She looked at me with tears welling in her eyes.
匠、私は導きで、君が救世主。そう決まっているの。だから、何をしてもいいのよ。私に。叶えてあげるわ。君の、どんな望みでも。
This is your chance, Takumi. You shouldn't put your dick in crazy, but this is probably your only chance. Like, across all of the delusions, all of the choices in this game, this is probably your only chance. And probably also in the follow-up game, the whatever it's called, not Chaos Child, there's like a follow-up to this that's like very similar to the My Darling's Embrace variation of Steins Gate, but I think it's actually canon. And there's also one for Chaos Child as well. So, I still think this is your only chance, brother. I didn't really get what she was saying. I figured she was probably just spewing her crazy delusions again, but either way, I didn't mind.
Takumi. Takumi.
Ayase kissed me again, except this time it was nothing like before. This time, Ayase's tongue, slick with saliva, forced my mouth open, shoved its way deep inside and coiled around my own. Nothing else mattered to me anymore. I just let myself give in to the pleasure, embracing Ayase's slender, supple hips. Yep, there's a lot of that. It was becoming a little hard to breathe. When I tried inhaling, I just ended up sucking in Ayase's hot breaths. Good dialogue. Ayase's saliva spilled into my mouth. It tasted incredibly sweet. I swallowed it with audible gulps. My brain was completely paralyzed, mesmerized to the core. I'd never expected the touch of a 3D girl to feel this good. That's a gunshot. Oh no. I think that was, this is the night. This is the night that Bond dies. Is it? Everything just happens like kind of mushed together in the common route. It kind of got hard to figure out what day was what. I heard a sharp sound off in the distance. Startled by the noise, Ayase backed away. Where's the D-swords? Her lips were soaked in the mixture of our saliva. Even in the darkness, it was clearly visible. I couldn't care less about the sound. I just wanted to get back to making out with Ayase. And if possible, go even further beyond. Hell yeah, losing my V-card for the win. Wait, hold on. Had Ayase been with other men before? If so, then wouldn't that kind of bring down the whole experience? Or maybe eroge had just rotted my brain. Nah, there was no way Ayase had past experience. No normie, goddammit, would want to stick their dick in someone this crazy after all. That's what I was saying. You shouldn't, but, you know, based on the circumstances, Takumi, I mean, come on. I mean, even Misumi-kun had run away from her.
ヘラヘラしていないで、匠。
さあせん。
Ayase had slapped me. My hopes and dreams were dashed in an instant. And in their place, anxiety rose. I felt like I was about to cry. Ayase was staring daggers at me, but I couldn't help but cling on to her all the same.
ごめん。嫌わないで。
邪神に支配されるのではなく、邪神を己に取り込むのよ。でなければ、黒騎士として目覚めることはできない。それを忘れないで。
Pretty sure the reason I'd gotten all turned on was because of the kiss, not all this wicked heart stuff, but I couldn't be bothered trying to argue with her.
行くわよ。
どこへ？
銃声だったわ。さっきの音。
A gunshot? Here, in Japan, in a hospital? It hadn't sounded like one to me. Then again, I'd only ever heard them in movies and video. Is that supposed to mean video games? Can we not say video games anymore? Is that not allowed? So it wasn't like I had any frame of reference as to what a real one sounded like.
銃声だったとして何をしに行くの？
これもまた予言にあったわ。すでに邪神王との戦いは始まっているのよ。黒騎士の心が殺されていく。だから回収するの。理想道。私たちにできるのはそれだけ。
The Black Knights were going to perish? Had that bullet we'd heard been fired at someone?
警察に。
ダメよ。警察も邪神に支配されてしまっている。
We were reaching unprecedented levels of schizo here. Ayase had completely lost it. The Gladioul saga was nothing more than a delusion of hers. Everything that she had said was nothing more than a delusion of hers. I had asked myself earlier what kind of ending she wished to reach, and I was still asking. Seriously, what was her end goal here? And what the hell was I supposed to do?
ついてきて、匠。
Ayase was already on her way out. I hesitated to follow her. But that was when I realized, yeah, they're not here. The 3 D-swords leaning against the window were gone. Had she taken them with her? I bit my lip, hesitating for just a moment longer, but in the end I decided to follow after her. I don't even know why she had her own, like, resting there. She could call it forth at any time, like a Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts, so I don't really, like, know what the deal was. Oh well. Alrighty, we'll end it there. You know what? It's not so bad, you know? It's not so bad, this route so far. It's very weird, but it's not as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I don't know. I don't really like Ayase's character. I guess the term to use here really is schizo. But nonetheless, an interesting twist. I don't know if she's actually the one who killed Nanami and Rimi, but oh boy, if Takumi found out and if that actually was the case, yikes. But also, she turned away from looking for the Black Knights to unite together, like she said at the end of the common route, to just getting the D-swords of the Black Knights. And that's what she's saying here, because Yua / her sister, Mia, is going to be here having her own, you know, inner fight or whatever, and she will get a D-sword. Ah, man, I don't know. What's going to happen? Are we going to, like, kill her and take it? I didn't even know that was actually a thing. And I just want to know what happened to Rimi and Nanami. I'm very curious about that. Oh well, we'll find out next time maybe. Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.